Lucy, welcome to the bookshop. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. Well, it's dark outside, even though it's not that late. But thanks for taking the time on a evening where you could have been like doing anything else.
In bed. Nothing interesting.
But do you want to introduce yourself a little bit and say what you do?
Yeah, I'm Lucy. I am a second-year tattoo artist at I Am Inc. and I do tattoos.
Cool. And you're not an apprentice anymore, right?
No.
You're
Junior artist.
cool. So tattooing, I mean, I don't know a lot about the world, but it seems like there's quite a process to get involved in it.
There is hardship. It is not easy. I say that, but I've had a really easy run compared to most people.
So just for people who don't know, what's that process like?
You beg and you scrape for an apprenticeship. You clean baseboards. You beg for knowledge and for someone to teach you and to literally prove your worth day to day, cleaning everything. I've cleaned things that I never thought existed at this point. You trade your worth by cleaning. It's a lot of begging. To get into where you want to be, it's so much begging and being in the right place at the right time. It's really, really hard to come by an apprenticeship at the moment, especially, even though there's so many tattoo shops around here. But with enough begging and scraping, and please, I will clean everything, you eventually get to where you need to be, or want to be.
So how did your sort of, like, how did we get to now? Like, how did you end up deciding that's what you wanted to do? And
I've always been around tattoos. Always. My mum's got loads. My stepdad's got loads. Uncles. Everyone I've ever been around has loads. And I was always an artsy child, really. I was always drawing something. I'm sorry for all the trees that I have mangled with the sheer amount of paper I went through, but it's given me a career now. That's all that matters. But you know, it's like little things, like my mum would get a session done and I'd go through and I'd colour it in with Sharpie. And it's that like, I want to do something permanent. And I love tattoos and I want a lot of them, and I don't really fit into a conventional workplace. Can you imagine me at a corporate office? It wouldn't work. So I needed something that fit with me and what I like without dulling my sparkle.
of course, I mean, if you like tattoos, then one place to work is a tattoo studio.
It's brilliant. It's great fun. Get to work with all sorts of other people who also love tattoos. I meet people who love tattoos and different styles and variations and what other people like to do. It's really fun. It's really fun.
So when did it start? Obviously, you're saying you're thinking about, like, you're around it all the time, but when were you like, okay, let's start trying?
Probably my GCSE years, sat there doing art. My mum had just been to the London Tattoo Convention and she'd brought every single business card from every artist that she found, and she brought them all home and she went, have those. And I went, oh, this is amazing. This is the best day of my life. I forget that I might be a normal little 15-year-old now doodling in my little sketchbooks, but I can actually do something permanent that's on someone forever, and I can bring someone else's vision permanently to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the memorial tattoos and meaningful ones, it's the silly little ones that you look at and you laugh and you smile and you go, oh, that was really silly, I like that. You know, it's doing that permanently that I really liked that. You know, it's my art forever, making somebody else happy, hopefully forever.
Sick. So yeah, from 15, and then, I mean, you shouldn't ask how old someone is really, but like how...
I'm 20.
Okay, cool. So you're talking about 5 years of getting to where it is, and like, which is, so 5 years to become, second year.
Yeah. I mean, I got really lucky. I got in at 18. That's not normal.
Yeah, I was going to say, that seems like...
As soon as I could do it, I was in it. But I mean, I did various little jobs in between, but I never wanted to commit to any actual job until this. And it's all about who you know and connections that you make that get you to where you are. You know, my mum's really close with her tattoo artist. I'd come to her sessions, I'd sit there and I'd go, why are you doing that? Why are you doing it like that? Why have you changed that? How have you done this? Why are you doing that? And all of that. And, you know, it was actually my mum's artist that found the advertisement for the place I'm at now. And I have been since I started.
Nice. So it's just that showing a little bit of curiosity to show that you're, because I guess that's what people want, like someone who's actually interesting. Because I imagine the tattoo world has a similar kind of issue that a lot of kind of art things have, which is people are interested because it's trendy or it's cool because it has that rep.
It's a really cool job. It's really cool. But it's not rock and roll and crazy all the time. It's crazy a lot of the time, but not all the time. And you have to put the work in for it to be as rewarding as it is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Because, I mean, it must take a lot of patience and a lot of practice and a lot of, well, just a lot of trust because it's, well, there's no rubbing out, right? It's
exactly. And that's a whole nother level of it, though. You know, it's not just how good's my work, it's how am I as a person. How do I connect with my customers and how do I make them feel safe? Because it is quite a vulnerable thing being tattooed, you know, especially certain areas of the body, you know, random stranger sat there touching and poking and prodding, you know, it's a really, really intimate thing, and it's about putting whoever's in my chair at ease for that moment and building that connection. You don't want to sit and spend hours with somebody that's freaking you out a little bit.
Yeah, especially, or just have like an awkward hours and hours of silence and like, cool, you finished? Yep. See you later.
Pay me and leave.
It was, quite an odd one. Like, and how did you find it when you, because I imagine there's a long distance as well between like, actually when you first get to tattoo someone, right? I assume that you don't just get the job and they go, come on then.
Go on, off you go. Hours and hours and hours of straight lines and then doing parallel lines in between those straight lines and then doing circles, and there's so much. There's so much to it. I've done so many straight lines, I can see them in my nightmares. It's also all the health aspect as well. That was the first thing I did. It was all health, you know, bloodborne diseases, how we prevent against those, what procedures are if you get a needle stick injury, keeping everything clean, keeping your customer clean, you know, and all this cross-contamination and learning all of that different thing. You know, I didn't know what AIDS was until I've actually sat down and put the hours into Googling everything. There's so much to it.
Yeah, because I guess that's the thing most people don't consider. They think about the ink and the artwork, but not it is basically making a huge cut on whatever you should
It's
doing.
a minor medical procedure, really, and you've got to treat it as such. You know, you've got to be clean, you've got to be aware that people are bleeding and all of their bodily fluids are now all over my hands, my gloved hands. But there's blood everywhere. Everything is contaminated as soon as you open that skin, everything. And it's being aware of that, cleaning that thoroughly. You know, it's a whole healthcare aspect of it as well, and knowing what goes in the body, dealing with allergies as well, medications, like there's so much to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm so glad in photography we don't have to deal with that's still allergies maybe occasionally, but like nothing as crazy as that level. But it's so easy to kind of overlook that part. And like my brother has tattoos, but he had to have a whole other sort of thing going on because he's diabetic. So his kind of, that's a whole other ball game because his blood is kind of a massive issue in his day-to-day life as is. I
mean, it's more the blood sugar. When as soon as you open that wound, your body panics and goes, oh, what's happening? And blood sugar drops. You know, I've had people faint. I've had people seize as well. Like, it can be really bad if you don't know and you don't treat conditions as they should be. Diabetes is a big one, you know. It's just I've always got snacks on hand. Always, anyway, for anyone, because it could be you. It happened to me with my first, you know, I've had a few where I've gone a bit faint, a bit dizzy, but it's all about just looking after your customers, being aware of that sort of thing. Medications as well, like blood thinners, can completely wreck a tattoo. so quickly, and you just wouldn't think of it. You know, alcohol as well. It just pushes all the ink out.
Yeah.
There's so many different things, and everyone's skin's different, and some people bleed, some people don't bleed, some people swell up really badly. Everyone's skin is so different, and then every area of the body is so different. No two tattoos are the same. Even if it's the same person, the skin's so different depending on where it is.
Because I've never even thought about obviously different parts of the body, but other people just reacting totally differently.
Yeah.
And like, how do you account for that? I assume you have methods and ways.
It's a level of like just getting used to their skin. Some people, you know, it depends on age as well, how old the skin is, you know. Whether someone goes to the gym is another one, you know, the muscle on someone can really change how the skin is, whether they've used numbing creams, all of that sort of thing, pain thresholds as well.
Right.
You have like a 5 minutes of like adjustment of this is how your skin reacts to the ink. If I haven't tattooed you before, which area of the body is it? You know, how nicely is this going to go in? Am I stretching this right? Should I be stretching this better? Should I stretch this more? I don't really know. I'll figure it out. And just find it's a different process for each person. It's a learning curve every single day.
Which is interesting. And is there any sort of pattern to it you're finding? Like, can you tell when someone walks in, you're like, yeah, that's going to be really easy, or you're like, oh no, like...
Anytime someone comes in for a stomach tattoo, I count my blessings at that point, because it is such a hard area to tattoo. It's so difficult. It's really, really sore for the person getting it, so you've got to be aware that they're going to be in pain. It's soft. I don't care who you are, I don't care how toned you are, everyone's a little bit soft there. There's no proper bones to hold it up. So trying to stretch that is a nightmare, because it's all a little bit soft and all of that lot. People who go to the gym, I've tattooed a couple of rugby players, and the back of their calves is incredible. The skin there is so good. It's so tight, and the ink just goes straight in. It's amazing. So you can kind of tell, but sometimes you're surprised. Sometimes you're really surprised. The tiniest little girls come in and they've got skin like a rhino. It's so difficult, and you just can't get anything into them.
So how... Because you said about like a little 5-minute window to see how their skin reacts to the ink, but that's more for like allergies, right? And things like that, to check that they're...
Not quite. Okay. It's more for me, you know, is this area of your body something that I need to stretch a little bit more than I think I would? Is this, you know, how do you swell? Because some people swell up instantly. I'm one of those people, and they're so difficult to tattoo because the skin just tightens and it doesn't want to let any more ink in. Yeah. Because everything's so swollen and puffy, and it makes it really difficult to actually get a nice, solid, clean line through it. But other than that, it's just that sort of finding the right depth for a different person. You know, depth isn't one solid thing all the way through. It's not, I've completely blanked on what the actual depth is in millimetres. That's really bad. It's like 1 to 2 millimetres, I believe. Okay.
Yeah. That sounds about right from
I might be wrong.
No knowledge at all.
I'm not sat there measuring my needle going, that's about right. It's the feel. It's the feel. But, you know, neck, collarbones, shins, you've got to be so light and so delicate with that. That can be like 0.5 millimetres, and that's deep enough. But then you get somewhere like thighs, and you can get that full 2 millimetres in. It's so different, and everyone's skin's thicker, thinner. Age as well. Your older people have thinner skin, so you've got to be so light with them.
Imagine. And so now you're doing it, right? What's like the aspiration? Where do you want to go with it? Like,
that's such an amazing question.
Are you still at a point where you're like finding a niche or a style, or is that really a thing in tattooing? Because you have to engage with what people are asking for as well, right?
That's like a really hard line as an artist, is you have to engage with what people like and what will sell and what pays your bills. I'll never, ever, ever go take your Pinterest tattoo away from me. I will never do that. That pays my bills. I'm not gonna, you want that? I'll give it to you. I don't care. I don't care if I've done it 8 times today. I'll do it again, you know. There's a level of I'm a commission artist. I do what you want me to do. but everyone wants to do what they want to do. And there's various different styles that are popular. There are styles that are falling out of fashion. There's new styles that are coming in, and I look at them and I go, can't wait to cover that up in 10 years.
Yeah, it's funny because I guess that's where there's a bit of an intersection with what like we do as photographers and what you do, is that this commission work, which you don't always get the option to do, like whatever weird or wonderful idea you may have. You kind of just have to do what people are asking for, and sometimes that's not as perhaps interesting or unique.
I mean, I've got my fair few customers who I'll message them and be like, I've just drawn this up, do you want to do it for 100 quid? And they'll go, absolutely, put it wherever you want, I don't really care, that's great, I want it.
Nice.
You know, and they're my favourites. Peace and love to them, they're my favourites. You get customers that will send you like 6 pictures and go, do something in the vibe of this. And I love that. And then you get people that come to me and ask for things that I can't pull off. And it's a lot. You've got to be humble as well. You've got to be really, really humble. If I can't pull that off, I'm not going to do it for you, because I'd rather you go somewhere else and you're happy than I take it, I pay my bills, and you're left with a tattoo that isn't quite as good as it could have been.
Because in tattooing, there's no let's have a go. Like it's
no, not on a person. Yeah. Unless someone loves you very much. My poor friends, when I was apprenticing, sitting there going, it's free. Please, can I just borrow a little bit of skin? Just a little bit. I promise I'll cover it up later. I haven't. I'm planning a lot of cover-ups at the moment for all the people I've sacrificed to my apprenticeship. But someone's got to.
Yeah, I was thinking as well, like, because like I made that cross comparison with like what you do and photography, but we have the luxury of just like, we can print something else that's not, like if we want to do something, we just can. You still have to find someone willing.
Yeah.
So there's a whole other element of like, making work that's appealing to someone, to have someone want to put that on them, but still be true to what you think is good and what you think is cool.
Yeah. I mean, I do little pieces, and if I really want to do them, I'll throw a massive discount on them, because it's just because I want to do it, and I think I can do it really well, and I want that as a portfolio piece rather than a let's make money kind of idea. You know, I do all sorts of like silly little things that I just really want to do because I think they'll be funny. So I'll just slash a massive discount in that, and if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, well, I can just practice it on someone not real. Or The Apprentice.
You know, and how does that work in the context of the shop you work in? Is it like a barbershop situation where it's like everyone's their own artist?
Yeah, it's very much like that. You know, I work with 3 other people. It's me, the owner of the shop, Adam, he's great. He's always doing something, and, you know, but we all rent a chair. We've got our apprentice as well. We've got another guy that comes and goes sort of whenever. I'm there every day because I just like being there. I'm a personality hire at this point. I'll talk to anyone and everyone about everything. I spend half my time talking to my boss's customers rather than doing anything productive. But it is like you rent your chair. Mm-hmm. We're all our own separate artists in our own right. You know, our little apprentice, she's great. Sometimes she gets a little challenge. You know, we all help her along. It's all part of that learning, and you don't just want to learn from one person. You know, someone else might have a tip that will really help you, and you don't know that until you speak to them about it. And it's connecting with other artists outside of the shop as well. You know, there's a couple of people I sit there and I go, I've done this, what do you think? Or I'm nervous about this piece that I'm doing. I've practiced it here, what do you think? I need a fresh set of eyes on this from someone who isn't working with me day to day. And it's really great, you know, you can meet some really, really nice people. You know, I've grown friendships and relationships with people that I didn't think I would. All just through, we do the same job, that's really cool.
Well, it's a mutual interest, isn't it? It's something to talk about, if nothing else. And there's so much, it's like any art form, there's so much within that it like becomes this kind of endless conversation off of that one simple idea of ink and skin put together.
Ink, skin and pain.
So if someone was to ask, or people wondering who are watching, what would you define like, and not in the someone people really like me doing this, but if you could tattoo whatever you wanted and just do that, how would you define it?
I love doing really silly little animals. That is my little vice. I love rats. It's always
I
rats.
think I've seen the rats on your Instagram.
I
They're
love
cool.
doing them. I've got one on my leg. Like, I love my rats. Just silly little rats. I did like a little pink clown rat, and that has to go down as like one of my all-time favourite pieces because it's silly, it's cute. It turned out really well because she was having a great time, I was having a great time, and she added little bits to it. It wasn't ever supposed to be pink, and she went, it matches my hair if it's pink. And that's one of my favourites. Like, just any sort of silly little animal-y thing, you know. I did a little punk rat, and he's got a little vest and a cigarette and a booze bottle. Like, it's brilliant. I don't, maybe it's just me, I don't really take tattoos too seriously in that aspect of like what they are. Not everything needs to have a meaning.
Yeah, and I think that's like a bit of a changing attitude. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen that happen as like from when you were younger to now, but like obviously there is a bit of a stigma around tattoos.
Yeah.
Less so now, but I remember when like I was a little kid, it was like schools like, and if you ever want to work anywhere, never get a tattoo. It's
Not
like,
even a small one.
yeah, like if you have that, it's just game over. But now it's like perfectly chill. Like people aren't as, you know, even, and then like as time goes on, you're a little bit older, and it was like, okay, as long as it's anywhere but like hands and face. And then even then it moved on to like, well, realistically, you could throw some foundation on and it'll be fine. And then a lot of places now are even chill with like that. So I think the next extension of that is tattoos becoming a bit more fun and carefree.
They are definitely. You know, I don't. It used to be, you know, you get a tattoo and it means something. It has to have a meaning. I've seen it with my own mum. You know, she's only ever had like birth flowers until recently, and she went, "I want a bird on my foot. I'll have that." You know, or none of my tattoos mean anything. And you know, there is still a little bit of stigma, but I tend to forget that there is that much of that a tattoo because I'm around people who tattoo. I'm only talking to people who are getting tattoos. You know, I'll have someone in my chair and I'll go, "My mum's going to hate me for this." I went, "Is she?" My mum would love it. I've tattooed my mum. She'd love it. You know, and it is changing, but I do still have a sort of duty of care with tattoos, you know, like 18-year-olds coming in going, "I want my full throat, my face and my hands." And I've gone, I think maybe we should reconsider that one until later. But I've never been discriminated against based on my tattoos. You know, I worked in restaurants while I was apprenticing, and I didn't have my neck, my hands and my forehead done, but I still had loads of visible ones, and I was getting more. I worked with a guy who had face tattoos, you know. They're definitely a lot more accepted in general life, but if you are working some corporate office job, it is still expected.
Still some of the
and then it's the whole moral dilemma of, you know, what's I've completely forgotten the word now. An inappropriate tattoo, you know, what's offensive in tattooing.
Yeah, because it does have those connotations as well a little bit, that for the most part, and I mean, I don't see a lot of offensive tattoos in Northampton, so it seems like okay, but yeah, I guess I'm sure you've had to deal with people ask for things that are kind of like, not too sure about that one.
I'm never 100% when someone asks me for an eagle. I've really got to vet them out for things like eagles. You know, I've got to be really in the know of, you know, sort of racist dog whistles, you know, because that's not the kind of people I want to be spending time with. It's not the kind of people I want to attract to my shop. So you've got to be really in the know of like, what's the latest like Nazi trend? Which is something I never thought I'd have to worry about ever in my life.
But it's not a thing anyone really wants to worry about in 2025, right? But I guess it is. And I guess because obviously I've never really, because in my head when you said offensive tattoos, one very obvious logo comes to mind in that thing. But I guess, I guess they must have the brain power to like switch it up from time to time to try and keep it accessible. But
it's the eagles, you know, because if you come into a shop and you go, "I want that symbol," you're going to get chased out with a claw hammer. Like,
Yeah,
it's not happening. Not here. Absolutely not. But then it's like little things, you know, like the way that something's spelt, or lightning bolts. You've got to be careful of lightning bolts. You know, one's fine. More than that, get out. Not in my shop, thank you. It's really difficult because you've got to stay on top of that, because you actually just don't know. And the thing is once you've done one, then they tell their friends and they go, I managed to get this here. And then all of a sudden, you're the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of a scary thought to be like that you've unwittingly performed that act, and then, because no one's going to believe you being like, I just didn't know, and it's just like,
in this day and age,
too late.
You can't afford to not know.
Yeah. Which is, kind of a scary thought. Another thing I'm very glad we don't really have to deal with as photographers.
You meet that's the thing, you meet all sorts of people of various different walks of life, and there's a lot of learning there of, I never thought I'd interact with you until we've connected on this medium of I'd tattoo something that you want. You know, I don't think any two of my customers are remotely the same, especially with walk-in customers as well. They are anybody.
Is there, just to make it slightly more positive, have you ever had any like really good experience with walk-ins that you maybe didn't expect? Like, absolutely.
I mean, walk-ins or not, you know, I've got a slightly older couple. She came to me, she just wanted a walk-in, some little flowers to go around a tattoo that she had previously that was just mum. And she's back constantly, like every other month, she's constantly back, and she's gone, Lucy, look, I found a picture of a giraffe. Should we do a giraffe? And I love her. I absolutely love her, you know, and it's really good. And then her husband got into them, and he keeps coming back, and we do his sessions in little parts and things like that. You can get really good experiences out of it. Even my like regular customers that weren't walk-ins, I've built some really good friendships based on that. Some of my closest friends I met as customers. My nail tech was a customer. Like, you meet all sorts of people, and you get to trade skills and things like that. It is a really, really fun job. You know, meeting, even if it's not my customer, you know, my boss's customers, a mechanic. Well, that's great. Now I know a mechanic. I need that. You meet various different people, and you can swap that trade, and I love bartering. It's my favourite. Yeah, I'll take 40 quid off if you can hand knit me a jumper. That's great.
But that's the other thing, right? I imagine if there's another similarity between photography, you probably had to deal with people try and like not offer you the hand knit jumper, but still want the 40 quid off. I've dealt with a lot of that, especially as an apprentice. That is probably my biggest absolute pet hate with tattooing, is that people seem to think that they deserve it cheaper or they deserve it for free, as if I don't have an hourly rate for my time for a reason. You know, I've, especially as an apprentice, dealing with loads of people that I didn't necessarily really know at all, being like, you can use me as a sketch pad. I don't actually think I want to do that. You know, I only, apprenticing, when I was doing free tattoos, it was, I need to be really careful of who I'm picking for this, because it's not going to be good. I've literally just picked this machine up and gone, oh, scary now, because you have to get over that fear of, now I'm doing something permanent. I could do some damage here now. But, you know, you've got to be really careful of who that is. And, you know, I'm always willing to work within a budget, always. But you shouldn't just be asking me for, can you not do it cheaper? Yeah, because work within a budget doesn't just mean, cool, get everything for this price. It's like, okay,
full sleeve, totally
back.
for free for you. No worries. Sure. You know, I've met people on nights out that have gone, what's your friends and family discount? I've gone, I don't have one. And they've gone, well, you should have one. What is it? And I've gone, well, if I did have one, it would be this much. And they go, oh, cool. So what would that be for a sleeve? I don't know your name.
But we met 5 minutes ago.
Literally less than 5 minutes ago. You've just walked up to me now. I don't think I owe you anything for free or cheap or anything like that. You know, I'm still a commission-based artist. I've got materials to pay for. I've got a chair to rent. You know, I've got various different expenses that I still need to pay. I love my job. I would do it for free. But that's not how a job works.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing that people sometimes forget, is the material cost of doing something as well. It kind of they just assume it. I don't even want to know what they assume sometimes. It's just like, oh, it just magically exists and you didn't have to
I didn't have to
do
pay for it.
anything.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, inflation's hit us as well really badly. You know, people are sat there going, well, I got a full sleeve for 30 quid back in the day. We're not back in the day. Our shop minimum is £40, and that's for the teeniest, tiniest little thing, because just the material cost of needle, it's not just the needles, it's the ink, it's the wraps, you know, ink cups, there's kitchen roll, all of the things that go into a tattoo, they all cost way more than you'd think, you know. It's extortionate sometimes. I cry a little bit every time I order needles. £20 for a box of 20, you're joking, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's that thing. And I think, inflation's part of it as well, because it's just like, why is everything just jumped up all of a sudden? It's like, yeah, but it's not our fault. Like,
it's not my fault, I can't help it.
That, yeah.
I have to charge this, otherwise I can't afford to do this anymore.
And I imagine for you, it's like, okay, we can do the first session for that price, but I won't be around to finish it off later. Like, I'll be out of business.
I can sit and look at it, but I don't have any needles and ink left now because I can't afford them.
And you'll be stuck with half a tattoo. So, so looping back slightly, because I feel like we went on a tangent there, but your sort of aspirations going forward, like, where do you want to end up?
I don't really know, because I know I don't want the stress of owning my own shop. I definitely know that for a fact. You know, I like being hands off. I like paying my rent, doing my thing, and going home at the end of the day and not worrying about, oh God, this is how much the heating in the building costs. You know, I don't know. Every day is an improvement. Every single tattoo is different from the last. It's a whole different learning experience from the last one. You know, it's not even that I just want to do what I want to do. You know, I just like meeting people and connecting in that way. Sounds really soppy, but
no, but that's cool.
I really enjoy the social aspect, and if I can just keep being where I'm at and improving and getting better on things, that's happy with me. I'm great with that.
Sick, nice. And then last thing, is there anything else you want to get off your chest while you're still on the mics?
Stop getting cybersigilism tattoos. I'm sick of doing them. Please stop. You're only going to cover them up. Think twice about your trend tattoo, because it is there forever.
Is that the new trend in tattoo?
It's the new favourite, and I get why you like it. It looks really cool, but it doesn't age well. Think about how your tattoos age. That's a good one, because not the cool little spindly designs you see on Pinterest and Instagram and all the other people around you that have really cool tattoos, it's only going to date you and age you. It's the new tribal tattoo. I see anyone with a tribal sleeve and I go on, you're at least 40, at the very least. You know, trendy tattoos, they look really cool, but they won't look really cool in 5 years. And I live by that.
And any other, apart from don't be trendy and pick stupid designs, is there any other top sort of advice you'd give?
Research your artist. 100% research them. Don't just go to the first tattoo shop you find on Google. Go speak with them, do a consultation, especially if the first time you're going to someone, do a consultation with them, because you get to sit, you get to talk to the person who you're giving your body to at this point, you know, the person who has control of what's permanently on you forever. It's really good to just meet and sit down, be really clear on what you want, see what their setup's like, what their shop's like. It is still medical in a way. You don't want to come home with a really nasty infection or anything because you hadn't looked at the shop and now you're too awkward to back out because you paid a deposit.
Sound advice to avoid any.
I would say, always be clean.
Nice. Well, thank you for stopping by.
No, thank you for having me.
Interesting to get a little bit of insight into that world. And yeah.